Hey y'all, so it's been a minute and I was just thinking, as I always am, like y'all gonna get me looking this way most of the time because this is the time where I have to take a pause and think and actually pause enough to spend time with the Lord and to hear Him. So, a lot of things are going through my head all day, and all day I'm speaking to the Lord, but it's not until I'm able to slow down, which usually happens in the bathroom, and I be trying not to be in the bathroom on the camera, but I might have to start doing that. We might have to start doing testimonies from the throne because that is where I get the most revelation, because that is where I am my most authentic, and that is where I have the most peace. Like anybody that has ever stayed with me for an extended period of time knows that I spend a lot of time in the bathroom. And that's partly because I used to have some health issues. I had irritable bowel syndrome and stuff. And so, I'm not claiming that I still have it, but my lifestyle has been changed to better accommodate some of the issues that I had and to hopefully prevent them. So I spent a lot of time in the bathroom, and before that was the only space I could have to myself to think and to just be. So, old habits die hard. So anyway, that's where I usually get gems dropped in my spirit, and it's like hard because it's hard to remember all of it because it just be flowing in. And I mean, I guess I need to start taking pen and pencil, but I'm just gonna let y'all know. If you start seeing me in the bathroom, sometimes I don't even be using the bathroom. Sometimes I just be sitting there. But the bathroom apparently is my secret closet. That is my secret place with the Lord. So, anyway, that was a long introduction. Hey, y'all. Welcome back. I've been spending a lot of personal time with God. Like, I really just been deep in His presence and just learning how to peel back some of the layers and be completely vulnerable in His presence and just figure out who I am without all the extra stuff. Like, what is it that makes me me? And so I was sitting on the toilet and I was thinking, there was a process before this, but this is the thought that triggered me to pick up the phone. Two things. I was thinking about the Garden of Eden. And I was going through the process. I was like, okay, Lord, first of all, in the beginning, God, we need to realize that this is God's story. This ain't our story. None of this is our story. We are living in God's story, in His mind, like at His experience. We are God's memories. Okay? But we are living in the present and moving forward, right? So this is why the Bible tells us that we need to be connected, because we are at our core the light that is giving us animation, that is giving us life, is the Spirit of God. Period. Red, black, blue, green, yellow. Living, not the dead. He's the God of the living, not the dead. But anybody living has a spark of the Creator, except those that are born out of the corruption. And again, it was in the garden. God cursed the serpent. He said, your seed and the woman's seed is going to have beef, right? So that perpetuated, and we see when Jesus was about to get crucified, He told the Pharisees, He was calling them vipers and all kinds of stuff, but He was relating them to the serpent, the enemy. They are children. He told them that they are children of their father, the devil. He said that to them. So, that's the other thing. Jesus was a G. He is a G. Y'all understand. Anyway, so the question that came to my mind was the forbidden fruit. What is the forbidden fruit? I was asking God, like, what is the forbidden fruit? And I was thinking, because I'm going to tell y'all why I was thinking that. This is going to be a very, very transparent, vulnerable moment. And I do my best to be that way all the time. But at the same time, just like anybody, there are certain things that I like to keep personal. But the Lord is telling me to share this because we're working on vulnerability and we're working on boundaries and we're working on tact. So when I asked God, what was the forbidden fruit? I asked him that because I used to smoke a lot of weed and I enjoyed it very much. And so, like, in my consecration with God, like, that's been a point of, I won't say negotiation, but just that's an understanding I want to have, because nowhere in the Bible does it say don't smoke weed. And everything that is illegal ain't necessarily wrong, and everything that's legal don't mean it's right. And even me having this thought process, I'm even checking myself, like, am I trying to justify doing something wrong, or is my spirit really contending with what is being called wrong and why? Like, the Lord wants us to come to him. He wants us to ask him questions. He wants us to get to know him on a personal level so that he can explain things to us that we don't understand, because he created it all. He knows how it's supposed to work. And in the word, it says two things that relate to this. On one hand, like, I like to play devil's advocate, and that's a play on words too. I look at both sides, okay? Because sometimes, and that's the second point. Okay, so we're talking about the forbidden fruit. And the other thought I had is, why does God let us run away from him? Why does God, okay, so this goes together because as I was asking God, what is the forbidden fruit? I was wondering if weed was the forbidden fruit off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because when I started smoking weed, I started understanding things a lot more clearly, and things start making sense from before. And then when God kicked Adam and Eve out the garden, he said, they have eaten from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We got to get them out of here before they eat from the tree of life and live forever. So the thought process that was occurring to me is, we know the Bible has been manipulated and certain things have been changed for a certain reason, but the essence of the book is still living. The spirit of the word lives forever. What God said, the truth will stand regardless. Okay? But also, God uses everything. God is very intentional. Nothing happens in this world that he is not aware of. So even the changes that were made in the Bible, even the things that were only allowed to be put in there, is intentional. God wants us to seek him. So when I was asking him, like, for real, is weed okay or not? For me, not for everybody else. This is not a PSA type thing. This is me and God been talking, and this is what I'm coming up with, but it is bringing some thoughts to my mind, and he's giving me some answers. So I want to share this, not only for y'all, but for me to document this, because my mind, he be talking to me so fast, it's hard for me to record it in a way that I can understand past just him flowing it through my mind. I need to grasp it. I need to process it. So these videos are for me just as much as it is for whoever decides to look at it. But I'm getting value from this because the Lord is opening up more of his word to me, and I get excited even when I'm tired. Like, I was just sitting there thinking about all of that, because in my mind, a lot of things that I thought was wrong with me when I was younger, and people try to make it seem like, even doctors talk to me like I was making stuff up. Like, I've been to therapy and they tell me ain't nothing wrong with me when I'm telling them there's something wrong, right? And now, because I've been searching for the truth like this, y'all understand, my whole life I've been trying to figure out what is wrong with me. Just to find out that a lot of what they feed us is creating these dysfunctions, these diagnoses, and then they're providing the medicine to treat us for it, which don't cure nothing. It just keep treating you so you can keep spending money on the medicine. So then I was like, well, let me just stop eating the stuff that is causing the problems. But the problem is they're messing with everything so that you can't even hardly, it's hard to get a real fruit or a real plant seed, because they don't want us to have access to the land. Okay, the things that would change, God put the standard in place, and God dished out the curses, but the land is enforcing the curse. Okay, and there's more at play than we understand, because the spirit world is a whole different world, but it is a very real part of our reality. Whether or not you see it, whether or not you know about it, whether or not you acknowledge it, it is there and it is affecting us in a very real ways. So the Bible is the law book to understand how the spirit world operates. That is God's love letter to us. He loved us so much that he gave us the manual. And he's like, if you don't understand it, come ask me and I'll explain it to you. Okay? But because people didn't want us to have access, he doesn't want us to have access to the tree of life after we have been corrupted by eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because he wanted us in the beginning, he wanted us to live in paradise. And so when I asked him, he still ain't really answered my question about weed per se, but he kind of has. But what he said to me was, what does it matter what the fruit was? The test was in the choice itself, by Eve deciding to eat from the tree and Adam deciding to take the fruit from Eve, even after they know what God told them to do. It didn't matter whether they ate the fruit or not. It don't matter what kind of fruit it was. The test was in the choice. The test was in their decision to do something different than what God told them to do. That is the forbidden fruit. It don't matter what it is. So then, I'm not sure how it went to Jonah, but the only way is that I know this is where Holy Spirit is leading me. Because then some kind of way, and as all this happened, by this time I got out the bathroom and I went to the kitchen for something. Oh, because I came out the bathroom as I was thinking this is happening because y'all hear the praise music in the background. And I was just getting